Hello and welcome everybody. I am the Board Game Fanatic, and today we are going to be looking at one of my group's favourite games right now, which is Company of Heroes, the board game. And today specifically I'm going to be looking at solo mode and showing you how it works. However, it must be stated, I've only recently received the second edition. I haven't mastered all the new rules and what's changed yet. So I feel like if I was to do the game around the second edition rules, I'm going to be making mistakes. And I don't think that's really worth the time. Whereas I can play a game of the first edition solo rules with you, and I know what I'm doing. I'm experienced with it. I understand it, and we can have a better experience and session today. Okay. The table, obviously we have a bunch of second edition components as well as first edition mixed in, okay? But generally, if you were to get the first edition, you'd be getting most of what's here today, all right? The acrylic tokens, they're parts of the second edition, all right? So they won't be in that original version. What's going to happen today is we are going to battle the German AI for dominance over this battlefield. I will be playing the American forces, who will be coming in from the left-hand flank of the board, and the German forces will be advancing from the right flank. We're going to be fighting over two key zones. We have this zone here with this objective marker, and this building here with this objective marker as well. And we'll be battling for dominance. I'm going to make it a short game, probably to 5 victory points. We'll see who gets there first. Hopefully, I'll beat the AI, but it can be quite difficult at times. And yeah, you're not going to understand all the different things about this game today. This is just a general intro. I might do a deeper and longer session in the future, but I just want to show you the game and show you why it's so good, why my group likes it. So we'll get into it, all right? We'll start with the first turn, give you a bit of an idea how it works. And obviously the action's going to start to unfold as we get into the second and third turn, because then we're going to get into weapons range and we're going to start bringing in new units. At the start of the game, I, as the Americans, have 2 units. I have a mortar team, and we'll go into that later in more detail, and an infantry platoon. Okay? We'll be bringing other units in later in the game. I'm playing as a mechanized commander, a mechanized company, and I'll be bringing in some vehicles later on that will hopefully sway the battle to my side. The Germans obviously are operated under AI, and it will dictate where they move. Their units are completely secret, and you don't know what they are until they come into visual range and your units can see them. Or they come into weapons range and they start opening fire on you. And you will, of course,
encounter a variety of enemies. Ordinarily, you will just leave them like this, face up.
I tend to think it looks kind of boring on the battlefield. So when I have these out like such, I tend to put the miniature on top, because I think it just looks nicer on the table. But ordinarily, you would just have the tokens out like this. The AI will be commanded by a commander card here. And obviously, this dictates what units will spawn every turn. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 turns till defeat. So we need to beat the enemy to 5 victory points. So we'll go straight into the first phase of the game. All right. And that is the key one, the maneuver phase. As you can see, there's not many steps to it. It's just the maneuver phase. So now we're going to go into the action cubes. And each side has 9 action cubes. And each of these is obviously what you use for your movement on the board. During the game, each unit, when it moves a square, so let's say this unit is moving to here, you will assign 1 cube to it. Like so. And the unit has moved. Every unit can have no more than 3 cubes next to it. Once it reaches 3, it's maxed out and it can't move anymore. And on your turn, you will take 3 of your cubes, and as you can see, we've got 9. So that means we're going to have 3 turns of putting movements down. Yeah. So I will get 3 cubes, and I can activate 3 times units on the board. So I could move this unit to here. I can move this unit 1, 2 spaces to there. That's my turn over. then onto the AI to do the same. He would then get 3 action cubes, follow his preset algorithm, and then it would come back to me. Okay, and it's exactly the same in multiplayer. You'll be alternating turns, getting 3 action cubes until you've used all 9 of your cubes. With the AI, it gets progressively harder later in the game because it gets extra activation cubes, which allows it to move larger forces on the board and makes it a bigger threat, which is good for the AI, not good for you. So it's going to get progressively harder later. Yeah, so we'll jump into the turn. We'll start with our actions and away we go. So we'll start the game with our forces deployed down here. If you ever see a red dice like this, it's normally a status dice of some sort. In this case, because it's a mortar team, they have to spend an action to deploy their weapon and set up the mortar. They can't just carry a mortar around and fire it in their arms. It is a heavy weapon that must be deployed to be able to fire shells over long distances. And this is exactly what this dice says. In this position, it's telling you that it's not ready to fire. When you spent an action to set up the weapon, you turn it over to the tick, and now it's ready to fire. Okay? So that's why this particular unit has a dice in the tray already. And what you will do is you will put upgrade dice in those trays. Okay? So, first turn. We'll begin with advancing. As you can see, there are various command points on the board. Here, we have a manpower. So this will get us more troops, more men, yeah, to recruit soldiers. We have fuel over here, which will allow us to bring in vehicles. You definitely need fuel to bring in the vehicles, so it's quite important. Ammunition is a good one that will allow you to upgrade your units with special abilities and to be able to do extra damage. Okay? And at this stage of the game, we are level 1. There are 3 levels to this, and with each level is a set of units that you can recruit. So once we unlock level 2 out of 3, we have to pay this to level up. We'll then get extra units that we can use and recruit. Okay? At this stage, level 2 and level 3, which has our heavy tanks, are locked, and we will need to unlock them by spending resources. And in this game, there are the 3 resources I just told you about. We have manpower, ammunition, and your fuel. The 4th line is victory points. That's all that is. It's not a resource. Okay? So the top section tells you how much income you're getting. For this game, the example game, I've just set it at these values. This is how much you will make every turn. The bottom part is our inventory, our stockpile, how much we've got. So right now I've got 4 manpower, 4 ammunition, and 4 fuel, all stocked. At the end of this turn, I'm going to generate 2 more manpower, 2 more ammunition, 1 more fuel. So your stockpiles will go up and you'll be spending from the bottom. This will go up as you capture points on the board, or lose them. It will go down. So we need to control these points for us to gain resources and recruit more soldiers and troops. So for step 1, our first turn, I'm going to advance this mortar team here to this manpower reserve, and I'll spend an action to deploy the weapon. So now we have a mortar set up on this resource point here. My 3rd action will be to simply move towards this ammunition depot over here. And that's it. That's my turn done. We're now on to the AI. So the AI has started with forces deployed, and these discs represent the various units that you can have in the game for the AI. At the start of the game, they have 2 green and a blue. Blues can be artillery, greens are your general infantry. Okay. Later on, you can get the red ones, which are the tanks and heavy vehicles, and you can get the yellow ones, which are the lighter vehicles. For the AI, you follow a set system. You have what's called reading order, yeah? So if you ever have to move, for example, a unit, infantry, and you have more than one of them, you want to do them from the highest point on the board, top one. I've probably not got this in the best orientation, but turn the other way, it will be much simpler. But You move along from the top, one row at a time, move down and move them from the highest on the board to the lowest. So this green unit will be moved before this green unit down here. And it does work really, really well. On the enemy's turn, the AI, you draw one of these cards. And this is going to tell us what the AI is going to do and in what priority. So, first of all, he's going to move his green units. We find the reference card that matches that symbol. So we have green point victory here. And it tells us what they do. Green unit that is not on a control point prioritizes the closest victory point. Okay, and then you follow reading order, which is what I explained earlier. So, first of all, we get the enemy's first 3 action cubes. So, turn 1. The green unit not on a control point. In reading order, this one is going to move towards the nearest AI-controlled victory point. If it doesn't have one, obviously they're going to prioritize getting one. So he's going to run towards the nearest victory point. He's not bothered about ammunition. He wants the victory point itself. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. Straight there. That's the end of the AI's turn, because it's used 3 action cubes. So it's back to me as the Americans. As you can see, I've deployed my weapon. I'm not going to go anywhere. So all my focus now is going to be on the infantry. The enemy is going to be moving towards the victory points a lot quicker than I am at this rate. As you can see, they're already making ground. I think I'm going to bypass the ammunition and go straight into this woodland here, directly towards this building, and try and take that point. Hopefully next turn. My third cube, I can't use because my units are where I want them. So I'm going to sacrifice that and go on to the AI turn. The AI is going now. So what we do is we draw another card and follow the instructions. So covering fire, that's the orders from their commander. Yellow units, there aren't any. So we go straight to the next one that can do something, which is the green one. In this case, it's exactly the same system as last time. They're going to move towards the nearest victory point. This unit's fully activated. So this one's up. And he's going to move towards the nearest victory point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, logical sense, he would head towards this one. 1, 2, 3. Now, as you can see on the board, you might have noticed this is a 2nd edition board, but exactly the same rules are being used in this. There are different coloured zones along the edges of the hexes. And what they are essentially is, for yellows and greens, they are defensive positions for your infantry, for your green squads. It means like shrubbery and walls and things like that they can get behind for protection to give them an extra defense dice. Yellow gives you 1, green gives you 2 defense dice. Okay? For the red zones, that means it's impassable. You can't get on there. So for the AI to get to this control point, it has to go all the way around. So instead of 4 squares, we're actually talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one's actually much closer for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the AI is not going to go there. It's going to move this way. Obviously, units cannot be on the same position. So they're going to move to the side of them. So then it's back to me. And I have my last turn. 3 action cubes, but my units are fully activated. So it's a simple pass at this stage. We need more troops, more units on the board. So it's back to the AI. We draw the card and we follow it through. Blue, which is their last unit. So what blue does is blue will prioritize to be within 3 hexes of an enemy unit. Move towards a hex that is 4 away from the nearest enemy unit. So what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and get in range. These are mortars. These are long-range attacks. Yeah, they're going to try and get 4 hexes away from your units. So the priorities is the order in which you activate the blue units. Right now we've only got 1. So this one's going to essentially do the second part. Move 4 hexes away. Okay. So how can he get 4 hexes away? So my unit's here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It can reach there. because it's going to go 1, 2, 3. And that is the AI's turn. All 3 action cubes is used to move to there. They are now within range because blue can attack up to 4 hexes away. Okay? So that means we flip it. And at this point, we now know that there is an enemy mortar team set up there ready to attack us. As I said before, that's where I feel it's a bit boring for me, personally, just having the token there. So I tend to grab a miniature tray of the appropriate unit and just put it on top. So they're now in range to attack me. And this is going to lead on to another rule that's quite important in this game. Ordinarily, not for the AI, but ordinarily, every unit can only see up to 2 squares away. So let's say, for example, there is an enemy unit. We'll put some miniatures on here. This unit is visual to this squad. This unit cannot spot them. They're too far away out of eyesight. However, they can be spotted for by other units. So this unit can radio into these and tell them that there's an enemy squad there. So now this unit can be targeted and shot at if their weapons reach that range. So in this case, this is a normal infantry squad. They fire up to 2 squares. That's it. This unit is a mortar team. They can fire up to 4 squares. And all of this information is on your unit cards. It tells you all of these details. It looks complicated, but I'll be honest with you, it's quite simple once you wrap your head around it. Once you learn the rules of the game, it's dead easy to understand. This one is your range, which is what I'm discussing. Your mortar team can fire up to 4 squares away. It can't fire at the hex directly in front of it, but it fires at the 3 consecutive squares beyond. So it can fire up to 4. However, as I said, it can only see up to 2 squares. So if this infantry team was not there, there's no unit spotting this unit for them. So they don't know they're there. They can't fire. In this case, luckily, they are in range. But obviously this is just an example. So for the AI, it does not need line of sight like you do. It does not need a spotter unit to tell them where your enemies are. So the AI can shoot my squad right now, and obviously we'll do that in the damage phase in a second. Whereas you have to follow the standard rules against players where you need a spotting unit to spot them. So there is a bit of difficulty from that and the AI system at play. We now move on to the second phase of the game. Movement is over. We're on to the shooting phase of the game. So we remove all the action cubes, put them back in their supply for the owner. And now we're on to the second phase, the damage phase. So this is where we start shooting one another. First is pinning, which is a very advanced rule, but it's not too complicated once you get to grips with it. Assigning damage, which is what we're going to do now, is where you're shooting your targets. So in this case, this mortar team is going to open fire on my squad. So on the little token, it tells you the unit has 3 life, which is why I've given it 3 troopers. They represent its life. It fires up to 4 squares, and it does 1 high explosive damage. What you do is you put the damage dice set on that face next to the target that you are shooting. Okay? And you're essentially going to be rolling defense dice in a bit to try and not be killed if you have the appropriate defense. So we assign the damage. And obviously I cannot at this stage return fire on the enemy. They are out of my range and out of my sight. It must be stated as well, mortar teams can fire over buildings. Ordinarily, you cannot shoot through buildings, but mortar teams do not need direct line of sight. If you know what a mortar is, obviously the missile is dropped, fired up into the air and fires over whatever terrain there is or enemy and lands at the target. So a mortar doesn't need a direct line of sight. It's not a direct weapon. Yeah. So now we're on to rolling defense dice. So what happens here? Ordinarily, if you're taking damage, you will reference this chart, which is very simple. So if this damage is being done, so we're taking infantry damage, yeah? You look at the column, infantry damage on green units, and the colours represent the colour of the heart on your unit card. Yeah. So in this case, if we're looking at a rifleman, it's a green unit. So if it's being shot and being done infantry damage on to a green unit, then the dash means there's no protection. You cannot roll defense dice. If it was armor piercing, so tank weaponry being fired at infantry, you can see there's a shield, which means I can roll the dice as a defense dice. Okay? And it's thematic. It's following real life. Obviously, weapons designed to kill other vehicles aren't particularly good at loads of little infantrymen running around on the battlefield. And likewise, little machine guns aren't going to do much to a tank rolling towards you. So it is really good. I like it a lot. In this instance, we're being shot with high explosive, which is the third column. So they're shooting my green squad with high explosive. As you can see, there is zero protection. Okay? So high explosives in the advanced rules, you're going to be rolling to see if you hit your target. Okay? How you do that is you roll the dice. If you get a red, the explosive has been fired, misses and blows up somewhere else. Very thematic, like in real life. Obviously, they weren't always hitting their targets 100% of the time. So in this case, the enemy has missed my squad, which I'm quite happy about. If they would have got a black, it will be 1 damage to that unit. If they would have got a green colour, there would have been 2 damage to that unit. Okay? Your defense is very basic. If you have to roll any defense dice, you roll it, and you want black or greens. If you get a red, the damage goes through. Simple as that. Very good system. Very easy to really comprehend. So in this case, the enemy's fired a mortar at my squad. Missed. My unit is fine. So we have finished the damage phase. And we skip the rest of the damage phase. Assigning damage, obviously, if you take any damage and your unit isn't wiped out, you'll put this next to it if it's a vehicle. If it's infantry, you will simply lose a figure for every point of damage that you take. Once the entire squad is gone, the unit is wiped out. Or once a vehicle's life equals the amount of orange cubes it's got, it is destroyed. So, then we're on to the supply phase, because we don't need to do these 2 steps. Because there's no damage left over, and we're not gaining any experience. Okay? Supply phase. Capture control points. So at this point, we're going to take control of the battlefield. So any control points where we have squads will become ours. So in this instance, we have this squad on this manpower reserve. So we take a flag. In the standard box, you just get tokens, I believe, but I got all the stuff for this game, so obviously you can get full model flags and stuff, which makes it look nice on the battlefield and easy to spot as well. I simply pull down that hex to say that I control that point. And because it's a manpower reserve, I now increase my manpower income to 3. So I get more bodies, more troops coming in for me to deploy. Okay. The enemy is sat on an objective over here. They're on this fuel depot. The enemy in this AI mode, you don't need to worry about all the individual resources. It's just too much work. In the standard mode, you're just worried about how many control points they've got, how many victory points themselves that they've got. So you're only counting up how many of those they control. You're not bothered about manpower, ammo, fuel for the AI. You don't track their resources. It's irrelevant. They will simply get the units given every turn. Okay? Which is really good. Makes it streamlined, makes it fast, and speeds up your turns. Okay? There's no admin on the AI side. You just basically deploy the units they've got, and you're on with the game. Now that we've done that stage, we're now on to adjust incomes, which I just did. So I've upped my manpower because I've taken this location. Next, collect stockpiles. So that's where you gain your income. Okay? So your stockpile's the bottom part of the board. You're going to gain what's on the top. So I gain 3 manpower. I gain 2 ammunition. And I gain 1 fuel. I gain 0 victory points because I don't have any of them yet. Okay. So now we're on to the next phase and the final one for the turn structure, which is purchasing units and upgrades. So at this point of the game is where you recruit new squads and vehicles to deploy, or you can spend your resources to upgrade to higher levels to access more powerful units. And obviously this is highly recommended. And when you get to the tanks, these will be your really tough units to deploy. Okay. So what I'm going to do for stage 1, you can recruit as many as you can afford, as much as you can afford to deploy. It's up to you. I'm going to unlock level 2. I'm going to spend 1 fuel. And I'm going to spend, 1 manpower and 3 fuel. And now I have unlocked level 2. So in addition to the standard units I can deploy, I can now deploy a 50 cal team, an anti-tank gun, and an M8 Greyhound. Okay. So turn's not over with recruiting. Now I can recruit with what resources I have left. I'm going to pull in some extra units. At this stage, I'm just going to recruit 1 M4 Greyhound, which will be really good for me as it does a lot of anti-infantry unit damage. And as you can see, right now they've got a lot of infantry on the board. So these black symbols tell you the damage the unit does. And that would do 2 anti-infantry damage. So you would have 2 dice on that face. Right then, guys, so that's the end of the first turn. We're going to go straight into the second turn now, and hopefully we're going to get into some more action this time. Okay, so the AI always goes second. You, as a player, always get to go first. So we'll start off straight away. Right now, we've got this vehicle at the back. There is, with certain vehicles, a free bonus move, which allows them to move around the battlefield swifter. That's denoted by this icon with the man running. Okay, so I'm going to assign that to the vehicle now. You can use it at any time, but this is in addition to your 3 cubes. Okay. Now I'm going to move one of my units. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this infantry squad into this building before the enemy takes advantage of that spot. So that is 2 movement there. Which leaves us with 1 final action cube, which I'll use to move up my vehicle here. That's the end of my move. On to the AI. So, first thing they're going to do is they're going to activate green units, and they are going to follow this card. Green control point. Green units that are not on a control point, they're going to move towards the nearest point and try and take control of it. So the one that's closest right now is this one here. So he's going to spend 2 action points, move him up, 1, 2. And as you can now see, he is now 2 range away from my nearest squad. He's in visual sight. So we can flip the tile and see what there is. Event. Now, this is where you have interesting events in the original version. In the first edition, you have a set of random events in the piles, so there might not necessarily be units to deploy. In this case, we've got the reinforce event. AI units within 5 hexes are reinforced to full health. At this stage, it's not beneficial to them, so we don't need to worry too much about that. All right, so I did make a mistake there, so I had to go back, but essentially, they've used 2 action cubes here to move that unit, and then they've got 1 left. So this squad is going to move to here. Now, you might be asking, why is there tiles in there with events rather than them all being units? And that's a good point. It adds much needed variety to the game. You can have things like anti-tank mines or long-range weaponry hitting your position and attacking your squad. You can reinforce the enemy like that one would have been really bad if the enemy was badly damaged and then instantly refreshed with some recruits that turned up. So they're really good. They add a much needed variety. And I like them for that. They also make sure you don't have a full stack of enemy squads. Because if you play the game and take out the events, which I did once, it felt like an overwhelming scenario. The enemy was just relentless, swarming me. They are very much needed in those stacks to add that variety and lessen the amount of enemy troops on the board. So obviously they've done. The infantry's moved up. They've used 3 action cubes. They're done. It's on to me. So I need to really push for these objectives if I'm going to win the game. This squad will hold this building as long as they can. In the meantime, let's move up this vehicle to here. And for now, I'm going to pick up the weaponry. We're going to try and move a bit closer if we can. And that's the end of my turn. It's then on to the AI again. In this instance, the yellow is activating first. So, the yellow vehicle, not on a control point, will move towards the nearest control point that the AI does not control. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So, it's going to move 1, 2, 3 again. I suppose we can move it here because there is still land mass, obviously. So we can move it to there. And in this case, that is going to cause the vehicle to be spotted and revealed. And in this case, we have an armoured car. So I'll put the miniature on there. Like I say, they look much nicer with the miniatures on, in my opinion. It just makes the battlefield look better. So that's 3 moves for the AI, and that is the end of their turn. Okay? It's now on to myself for my final turn. This unit has used all its movement. It's had its free movement and it's moved through squares. This unit is where I want it, so I'm done with them. This squad, I'm going to move forward 1 space, and I'm going to deploy the weapon. So 1 to move and 1 to deploy the weapon. And now we have a mortar set up in that position. So it's only 1 square, but it could make the difference in range and opportunity. So that's the end of my turn. We're on to the AI's final go. And first, all the yellow vehicles are done. So we're going to skip the yellow. Onto the green. We still have 1 green that hasn't got 3 cubes. So he's going to move, in this case, towards the objective exactly as before. 1, 2, and that will give him the full 3 cubes. That's 2 movement done. Because he's now in range, he's revealed, and this is a squad of veteran grenadiers who are now on the objective. That's 2 cubes it's used this turn. We then move down 1, and we've got the blue. The blue needs to move. It's a blue squad, and it's within 3 of the enemy unit. So now, this one's the priority. He needs to move to a hex that is 4 away from the nearest enemy unit. Okay? Now, to move 4 away from this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, he'd need to reach there. Okay? But it's not possible. He's only got 1 action point left. So what they're going to do is they're simply going to move as far away as possible that they can. So they've got 1 final move to there. That is the end of the movement phase. So we remove the action cubes, and we're now on to the shooting phase. It's handy to remove any movement dice at this point. Clear the table for the battle. So, enemy squads are going to open fire. This squad, the nearest target is either this vehicle or these. And you have this handy reference card that tells you what type of damage they do. In this case, these grenadiers do 1 infantry damage. And it tells you the priority to the units they want to assign the damage to. Green health is infantry squads. So their first priority is this. Yellow is the lighter vehicles, this. So they want to do this damage to this infantry squad in the building. So they're going to shoot there. This armoured car does 2 infantry damage. The only thing in range is the infantry squad themselves. And unfortunately, they can't shoot them because underneath, obviously you can see easier, there's two buildings, and buildings block line of sight. So this building here, this part of the building, is blocking the line of sight to this part of the building. So the armoured car cannot shoot these men on the objective here. However, the mortar team over here absolutely can have a good shot at me in the building. So we put that there. Now, me returning fire. So I have my vehicle here ready to gun down some infantry. So we'll slap down 2 infantry damage on that squad. My squad in the building, the only one that can really hit is them over there. And they're going to do the same. They're going to do an infantry damage to that squad. And likewise, my mortar team can't hit anything because it's got a 4 range. 1, 2, 3, 4. The car's out of range and this mortar team's miles out of range. So they're going to likewise open fire with high explosives on this squad. So it's looking like we might wipe out this infantry squad. So we then resolve the damage. This high explosive, I do apologise, I did miss one thing as well earlier. This unit here also does a high explosive damage as well as the infantry damage. So that should also have been allocated. So there's a lot of explosives being fired, grenades being thrown and mortars being fired at this building. So first we see if the enemy hits the target. 1 misses, 1 hits. So we have 1 high explosive damage hitting the building and 1 infantry damage. Buildings provide you with 2 automatic defense dice. And we pick up the dice that are already allocated. So that's in addition. So that's 4 defense dice we get. We need at least 2. And as you can see there, we got 2 fail, but 2 success. So we block the 2 damage. Okay? So nobody dies. However, we were hit with high explosives. And high explosives will damage buildings periodically over time. In the first edition of the rules, each building starts with 4 health. So it now has 3 health. If this is reduced to 0 and there is a squad in it, the entire squad is wiped out, the building is destroyed, the building is removed from the battlefield, okay? So the buildings can be damaged and removed from the board. So in this case, it's now on 3 health. Now, this infantry squad we're firing at, they're in plain open sight. There is no protection at all. As you can see, 3 infantry damage. And then you check your reference card. 3 infantry damage on a green health squad. Green health. There is no protection at all. So that means 3 of them are dead automatically. Gone. The last one is a high explosive. So I rolled to see if it hits the target. And in this case, unfortunately, it misses. Fires off, boom, explodes into the distance. But we've done a lot of damage to the enemy there. What you gain when you do damage, you will gain an experience point. And this will go into this portion of the board. I'm not going to go into it in much detail, but experience points can be used to upgrade your commanders, unlock new units or new improvements or vehicles that you can deploy, or they can be used to improve your squads, where you see the medallion symbol can be used to get special upgrades to your units. Okay. So that's the end of the shooting phase. We've gunned down most of that squad, but they still remain. We are now onto the supply phase. Capture control points. The enemy has taken a control point. That's going to be 1 victory point to the AI. So I'm going to use whatever's handy. In this case, I'm going to use one of these cubes to represent it and put it on the enemy commander's card. 1 point. I have taken this building. This control point is mine. So I also gain a victory point on my income. So I have finally gone up and I'm now on to 1. Okay. As for other control points, they've not changed hands. They've stayed the same. So next you'll gain your income. So now, as you can see on my board, I gain 3 manpower. I gain 2 ammunition. I gain 1 fuel. And I gain 1 victory point. So I'm on 1 victory point total, same as the AI. And now we're on to the recruiting phase. In this case, I've opted for the anti-tank gun. Functions exactly the same as the mortars and machine guns. The AI is going to deploy a green squad and a blue squad. Okay, deployment over. We're on to turn 3. So now you've got the rhythm of the game. It's going to keep going in this fashion until the end. So I'll do another turn with you. But yeah, I'm hoping you're really enjoying this. So turn 3, we go straight into it. We get 3 action cubes. So we need to position now. We've got one objective. We want to hold on to it. We want to take that other objective. The enemy's advancing. They've got a lot of units coming up now. And we need to get all of these forces into position. So first of all, I'm going to pick up, move, and deploy the mortar. That's a good point. I was thinking about putting it here, but that will put them in range of this squad right here. Obviously, that would make them target number 1. I'd lose a man, but I would take this critical victory point, fuel depot, and I think I need that. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to move up. So essentially pick up the item, move here, deploy the item. The mortar is down. AI. The AI, first thing, yellow. They are going to a yellow unit that is not on a neutral or player control point. So right now, this one classes. Move it towards the nearest AI control point that it does not control. So right now, they do not control this one. So he's going to move as close as he can. 1, 2, he's right next door. So because we did use all 3 cubes, we're on to the next one, which is blue, mortar team. So mortar team, the one that is within 3 hexes, if there is any. First of all, this one is 3 hexes away. It's going to move to 4 hexes away. So he's going to essentially pull back 1 square, and they're just going to bombard me from a distance. If I want to get them, I've got to get in close and chase them down. So the AI is done. It's back to me. 3 action. So next 3. I'm trying to do this while talking to you guys, so it's quite tough. We need to bring up this gun for starters, so we're going to move up 1, 2, and let's have a look at the range. In this case, it can fire up to 3. So now that vehicle is in range, which is good. So I'm going to spend the 3rd to simply deploy the weapon. Let's get it set up, ready to open fire on them. That's done. The AI. Next one. So yellow is fully moved. It can't get any closer to the victory point, so we skip straight to the blue. Obviously, this squad is where it needs to be. This squad is not. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the closest one is this infantry squad here. So they need to get closer. So they move 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. They spent 2 movement. They are now in range and they are revealed. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Barrage. So we have an event. They're going to open fire on us from long range. The unit that revealed this token receives 2 high explosive and 1 splash damage. So, first of all, high explosive is where you roll the dice. Right, so in this case, I did have to double check with the rules because this is the first time I think they've ever come out in recent plays. So the high explosives are going to be rolled and see what happens. So that's 2 hits, 2 high explosive hits and a splash damage hit. So that means I'm getting 3 damage onto that squad in the building. I get to roll 3 dice because I'm getting 3 hits and 2 additional defense dice because they are in the building itself. So I roll the dice and as you can see, nobody dies, okay? Everybody's fine, which is quite good. However, the building itself is not protected against high explosive damage. There is no protection die for it. So the building has taken damage. So they are now down to 1 life. The building is falling apart. My squad's still in there. So they really need to get out. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to move them so quickly. So that's resolved, done, and out of the way. That's the end of the AI turn. Back to me. And I think I'm in position where I want to be. I'm happy where I am. So I will pass, and it's onto the AI's final turn. The greens will move the control points. As you can tell, this one's already on what it wants. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The nearest one's this one, down at the bottom. So this squad at the edge of the board is going to move towards that location. 1, 2, 3. It's now in sight. It's revealed. And it's a veteran squad with a machine gun, a heavy machine gun. So I'll pop them on the board. You can see them. Machine guns are really useful weapons in this game. They can cause pinning, which is a very tough effect on your squads. As you can see, there's a little effect here, which I didn't do earlier for this one and this one, but they can have effects when they're revealed. They can do pinning or they can cause damage to your squads, but it's fine just for showing you the rules, okay? So they can't pin me while I'm in a building anyway, so it's negligible regardless. That's the end of the turn. Everybody's moved. We're on to the damage phase. Everybody's opening fire now. So remove all the cubes. I could really have evacuated that building, to be fair. I probably should have. So going back in hindsight, I'll leave them where they are for the example, the purpose of this. But if I was playing to win Mega, I should really have moved those guys out of that building. I did have a chance to do so. So, shooting phase. This squad is going to open fire on mine in the building. This mortar team is going to open fire on mine in the building. This car, which does anti-infantry damage, as you can see, the priorities for it will be green squads first. So they are also opening fire on the building. Lastly, this squad here is opening fire with infantry and explosive damage. And in both cases, they're going to target the closest unit, which could be costly to me. They could wipe out my mortar team, which is the closest. My squad's returning fire. I have my vehicle here. I'm going to target this squad and guarantee them to be wiped out. 2 damage on them. My mortar team is going to open fire on the vehicle. So I've got that and an infantry damage. You can't really split it unless it's a tank. Obviously, that's even more deep into the game, but we'll skip that for now. This weapon does anti-armor piercing. So I put 2 of those next to the target. This tank's getting shot from all sides. Right then. And now we're lastly onto the squad in the building. And they're going to open fire on this squad out here. Okay. Onto the shooting phase. Let's resolve it. So this squad's being shot at. There's no protection. The squad is wiped and destroyed and removed from the board. That's the first bit of damage I've done to the enemy, so I gain an experience. And I also gain an experience for destroying an enemy squad. They fired simultaneously, because it's simultaneous fire. They opened fire on my squad over here. 1 man is automatically dead. There is no cover at all. So that's that done. The explosive damage is a green, which means that 2 high explosive damage to that squad. And if we look at the chart, we have explosive damage on infantry. There is absolutely no protection. They're not prepared for grenades and explosions. So I lose another 2 men, which means I lose my mortar team. Quite a harsh loss, but they did their job because they've opened fire on this vehicle. So hopefully it's enough. So the high explosive on the vehicle, that's 1 hit. So we have high explosive vehicle, 2 or armor piercing, and 1 infantry damage. If we have a look, it's yellow, this vehicle. So it's protected against infantry, protected against explosive, but these 2 are automatic. Cannot stop them. The armor is not thick enough. So that's 2 automatic hits already. So at this point, it's worth checking how much life it has. It has 3. So these, it gets defense dice against. Hopefully, one of them will fail. And it did. 1 was stopped, but 1 went through, which means that that vehicle has been blown up. And that will be another experience for destroying an enemy squad. Next, there's a whole plethora of troops and vehicles opening fire on this building. This all happened at the same time. And regardless of the outcome, because the high explosive shot hit the target, it's going to do 1 damage to the building, which in this case is going to cause the building to collapse and be destroyed. I suppose we can allow people to fight over the rubble. Yeah, it will make it fair for the AI. That will be enough for the shooting. This one hit on this squad out in the open. As you can see, they're protected by this green line here, which means they would get a defense dice. And they were fine. They're dug in and protected. So that's the end of the shooting phase. We'd then be on to the recruiting phase, gaining your resources, spawning more forces out, and you continue this rhythm over and over again, playing the game until someone meets the victory points, or the game timer itself progresses to the defeat, and then obviously you lose the game if you haven't met the conditions by then. This is a great game. I love it to bits. My family love it to bits. I've said it numerous videos now. I'm going to be doing a full review of it in the near future, and I'll put up some stills and photos of the game as I play it to the end, because I'm enjoying it. I want to finish the game, see if I can beat the AI. But it's just fantastic. It's a great, outstanding design. If you want to see more of it, if you want to see all the battles, let me know. Please put down in the comments what you think of the video, what your thoughts are of the game. Do you like it? Did you find this useful? Did you enjoy it? Do you like the game? What are your thoughts on the game? What are your thoughts on the second edition? Has it improved drastically? Because I'm only just reading the rules and learning what's changed right now.
So, as I said before, I haven't covered absolutely everything to do with the game itself. We haven't covered experience. We haven't covered the commanders. We haven't covered all the different things that come in the different boxes. Obviously, the buildings you don't get in the original core set. There's different expansions to add different things. There's other factions. You've got the British. You've got the Russians. You've got the OKW. You've got a ton of stuff to do with this game that I haven't even touched or gone into. So I can do more videos going into it in greater detail and playing some other sessions with you, probably just playing a game from beginning to end, a larger game, have 2 boards to have a larger battlefield. If you're interested in that, put that in the comments as well below. For the remainder of this game, I pressed my advantage. I secured the bridge to the south, blocked it off with one of my vehicles, and seized both objectives and quickly reached 5 victory points. The Germans were not far behind on 3 victory points at the end of the game, so it shows that even in this situation, they were pretty close.
And overall, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like, please subscribe, and please leave comments. Let people know what you think. And I'll see you all next time.